They're in no position to influence anybody, about 99% of the population, on how they should decide who should be running and leading our country, our states, our cities, and our communities. Hello, welcome to my channel, Outspoken Samantha. If you are new here, welcome. Please hit that subscribe button. If you're returning, welcome back. Thank you so much for the support. On my channel, I like to give my opinion and perspective on things that are happening today, things that I think actually matter to everyday people, especially those of us trying to raise kids in the insanity known as today's society. We are not CEOs of big corporations, we're not part of the mainstream media, and we do not live in the Hollywood bubble. We are also not politicians in Washington, D.C., but we do have to live with the consequences of the decisions being made and the narrative being pushed by the people in the previously mentioned categories. If you feel like that describes you and you know exactly what I'm talking about, please like this video, leave a comment below, and please share it. Also, be sure to subscribe to my channel. All of these things help me to grow my channel and hopefully to reach more people that value logic, reason, and sanity. Also, be sure to find me on Rumble under Outspoken Samantha in the event that YouTube decides I have violated their community standards and chooses to kick me off their platform forever. That being said, let's get into today's topic. So I want to preface this by saying I don't care what Hollywood celebrities have to say about anything. I don't care what their belief system is. I don't care whether or not they believe in God. I don't care whether or not they like America. I don't care who they want to vote for. I don't care, because their priorities are so completely different than about 99% of us who have to face the real world on a daily basis. And every single day, Hollywood celebrities just give us more and more reason not to listen to them, not to take their perspective seriously on any level. And this is something that I should not have to say. I personally don't put a whole lot of stock into the perspective of people who are so completely removed from the issues that 99% of Americans face on a daily basis. These people who own multiple 1,000-square-foot homes, who have staff that do everything for them, who wear outfits to Starbucks that probably cost more than I pay in rent for my house every month, who are surrounded by private armed security and spend $10,000 on a pair of socks. I appreciate that everybody has their own political belief system, their own religious belief system, their own opinions and perspectives, and they are entitled to that. No one is trying to take that away from them, and no one is trying to deny them that. My issue is when these people who do not live the way that 99% of America does, whose value systems are completely the opposite of those of us who have to work and live paycheck to paycheck, who can only fill our gas tanks right now a quarter to a half at a time, most of the time, who are seeing $100 in groceries go a lot less, buy a lot less than it used to, we can't afford to send our kids to private school to avoid the radical activist curriculum that is being pushed onto our kids, that want to teach our kids that skin color and gender are the only valuable characteristics that they should be focusing on. I don't put a whole lot of stock into them, and I don't think that they should really have any influence on how this country is run. And I don't think they should influence voters, those of us that do have to face everyday problems, on how we should be voting for those that do run the country. These people that are worth multi-millions of dollars try to tell us what our priorities should be, and they can vouch for the radical politicians who truly want to change the entire American system to be oppressive, restrictive, to violate human rights and controlling. Because as the elite class, they will never have the experiences that we will have. They will never deal with food and gas shortages, with energy shortages, or with tyrannical law enforcement or abuses of power. This, at least not in the same way that we do. So just a few nuggets of inspiration and rocket science that the Hollywood's elite have graced us with over the last few days. First of all, Oprah Winfrey. She came out and endorsed John Fetterman. don't get it. I have no idea how anyone squares their support for this man. Politics aside, he's not capable of forming a sentence, let alone leading an entire state of people. And as I've said before, in positions of leadership and power, you have to be able to communicate clearly. This is just the basics of being a leader of any kind. This is non-negotiable. You have to be able to meet with other state leaders, to meet with other leaders in your communities, to listen to the concerns of your constituents and make clear-cut decisions that there shouldn't be a whole lot of question about. And if you can't form an entire sentence, there's gonna be a lot of questions. And it doesn't make for a particularly successful and safe city, state, or community. John Fetterman is not capable of doing any of these things. If this were Mehmet Oz, we'd be saying the same thing. I would not want somebody representing me that I couldn't clearly understand. I would not support putting someone in the position to even be considered for a role like this that was not the most capable of doing this job effectively. It just wouldn't happen. And putting someone who cannot speak or even think in a role with this much responsibility and putting the livelihood of millions of people, in their hands, that, everything comes down to this person's ability to think clearly and depends on their cognitive sharpness, it's irresponsible and it is completely disrespectful to political office. And I guarantee Oprah Winfrey wouldn't hire John Fetterman to bring her coffee, let alone put him in a position where he was in charge of anything in her company. So again, completely disconnected from reality when she is endorsing somebody who is struggling, who is clearly struggling so much to overcome this medical condition and not getting any better. Just shows a complete, disrespect of everyday people in not seeing that we deserve better, that we deserve strong leaders, for those of us who are depending on strong leadership, especially at a time when our country is struggling so much. And that also demonstrates how much she is unaware of how much people are struggling and how much we really do need people in charge that can piece society back together and give people hope. Next, there was Anne Hathaway, and this made me really sad. And I've known for a while that Anne Hathaway was a leftist, and it's unfortunate because I loved her in the movie The Princess Diaries. I loved Devil Wears Prada. I even enjoyed Ocean's 8. None of these were like blockbuster movies. None of these were award winning, but they were just entertaining. I have enjoyed a lot of her movies, but it wasn't until the last couple of years where honestly, my perspective, if a celebrity especially shows themselves to be a radical leftist or to support radical leftists who are doing everything they can to dismantle our country and to make life extremely difficult for everyday people, I personally make the choice not to support them anymore, to support their movies, to support their careers, because I am not going to support people that support the destruction of my community and of my life and to make things more challenging for me and for my kids and for their future. So I won't be watching her movies ever again. I actually haven't watched one of her movies in a really long time. And I know that maybe that doesn't sound like a lot, but I think the more people, if we can kind of adopt this system of I'm not going to support people who are trying to destroy my life, they're going to feel the effects of that. Because remember, Hollywood needs us a lot more than we need them. I can go through my entire life and never watch another movie and be perfectly fine. But if they were to feel the impact of viewership just completely tanking because we're sick and tired of hearing all of their ridiculous perspectives on things, their ridiculous, just total disconnection and pretty much just ignoring the things that we're struggling with, then they would feel the impact of us abandoning our support for them. So to me, that's just a matter of putting your money where your mouth is. I'm not judging anybody who still chooses to watch these people's movies. For me personally, it just gets me. So Anne Hathaway went on the View this week with the hags of the View and started talking about abortion. Because when you're a multimillionaire and you can pretty much, burn cash whenever you feel like it, you would think that abortion is the top issue for everyday Americans, that most of us, that is at the top of our priority list on a day-to-day basis. So, it's not a surprise to me when celebrities take particularly strong positions and encourage everybody to, make their entire political voting decisions on these very select issues because nothing else affects them. It doesn't surprise me because they're not affected by all of these other things. So I think honestly taking a strong position on these other issues makes them feel better. So she went on The View and said, "This is not a moral conversation about abortion. This is a practical conversation about women's rights. And without going into too much detail about my own experience, abortion can be another word for mercy." I'll link the clip below. You are welcome to go and watch it. I am not going to put it in this video because I really don't want to have to watch it again. But if you are someone that says that we need to ignore the morality component in the discussion about abortion, this has everything that anyone needs to know about the kind of person that you are. There is no conversation about abortion that can be had if you want that conversation to be honest without the consideration of morality. There's no conversation that can be had about ending a human life in any way, innocent or otherwise, but especially ending an innocent human life, that can or should be had without considering the moral component to it. Because you don't get to end a life and then be free from the fact that there's a really good chance that that life didn't need to end. That there were other options that could have resulted in an outcome where both the woman and the baby could have lived healthy, fulfilling lives, and you were able to make the choice to needlessly end that life because you absolved yourself of the idea that right and wrong exists. This way of thinking creates a path where dehumanizing anybody becomes a right and gives people at the top the right to say, it's not about right and wrong. It's about the rights we have decided that you are and are not entitled to simply because you're a human being. In China, they have been locking people up for weeks and months on end, starving millions of people, putting them under the most horrific living circumstances, all because the people in charge there feel that it's their right to dehumanize an entire population of people and dismiss all morality related to the pain and suffering that they are causing. This way of thinking is dangerous because people who think like this are also the kind of people that can be easily convinced and manipulated into believing that anyone who disagrees with them deserves to be dehumanized, that their existence is a threat to their future and their way of life, and that because you've been convinced it's your right to decide who can and cannot exist, that you wouldn't even think about twice about someone telling you that an entire group of people should be wiped off the planet. Again, removing morality from the conversation about human life and who gets to decide who lives and who dies for any reason, and playing God in deciding who gets to live and who does not, it's a depraved and disgusting belief system. So I don't think that Anne Hathaway has thought this all the way through, and honestly, I don't think that she cares to, because she's sitting on her high horse, on her multi-million-dollar perch, trying to make herself feel better about standing for something that she truly thinks is a moral position, that truly makes her feel good about connecting with the little people, and to which us little people would say, you can shove it. This is one that I just saw this morning. Jason Bateman, another one I was really sad to see being taken in by the left. And I like Jason Bateman. He was in Couples Retreat, The Switch with Jennifer Aniston, The Breakup. He was in Juno. I actually just watched Juno for the first time recently. And that is actually a really good movie, about the most pro-life movie that I have ever seen. I highly recommend it, despite the fact that Ellen/Elliot Page has gone off the rails as well. Such a good movie. And I always get him mixed up with Jeremy Renner, but yeah, not the same guy. He was on a podcast recently, and he pushed the idea of using the emergency alert system to urge Americans to vote because democracy is under existential threat from Republicans. First of all, Jason, the U.S. is not a democracy. It is a constitutional federal republic. The rights, the liberty, the freedom that we all have is because we are not a democracy. And by the way, when the left uses the word democracy, it's their buzzword. It actually means socialism, of which, yes, Republicans are a threat to, because we can see the constant power grabs that these people are trying to make. They use big tech to censor free speech. They are constantly threatening our Second Amendment rights. They are allowing millions of people who are not American citizens to invade our country and wanting to keep people from having to prove they're citizens from voting in our elections. All of these things ensure that the rights of every single American citizen are respected and protected, and they are all things that the left, who claim to be fighting for democracy, relentlessly are trying to destroy on a daily basis. But it's easy to base your entire belief system on talking points and on the narrative of your tight circle of elite friends when you never actually have to talk to moms and dads who are being affected by everything that I just mentioned, who actually do have to live with the devastating overreaches of a democratic government. When we can't expect to be safe in our communities and our cities, when we can't count on a consistent food and gas supply, when we can't count on the right to protect ourselves from harm. Because guess what, Jason? We can't afford extras. Most people can't afford to stock up and prepare for the inevitable diesel and food shortages that are about to hit this country. Jason Bateman is worth about $30 million and lives in a heavily secured 6,000 square foot home. Do you think that he has any idea what you or I are worried about on a daily basis? The concerns that we have for the future of our kids, or even just getting from one day to the next? Because I highly doubt it. As I said, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, everyone's entitled to their own beliefs, including Hollywood celebrities. But these are not people that we should be looking to for guidance on policies that they have no idea what the impact of these policies are, and really do not have to live with the consequences of what these policies mean in our everyday lives. I live in a 1,600 square foot home. We are barely making our rent payments every month. We are trying to keep food in the fridge, trying to make sure that our kids are taken care of and that we can get to and from work safely. We are not the same. Jason Bateman and my family, we're not the same. Oprah Winfrey and Hathaway, not the same. Your priorities are a world of difference from what mine are, for my family, for my city, and my community. You do not have to face the struggles that we have to face. And I am not complaining in any way, shape, or form, because I truly believe that struggles make stronger people. And I am grateful for the opportunity that I get to raise my kids and teach them how to overcome challenges. It makes people better, it makes them stronger, it makes them more compassionate and likely to help others, and it also helps them to understand the needs of others and the priorities of other people. I don't get that from Hollywood celebrities. And I am not saying that there aren't good people in Hollywood. There are people that I respect, that I listen to, that I appreciate their support, like I said, for sanity, for constitutional values, for God, for prayer. But they don't influence how I vote. They don't influence my priorities. They have absolutely no bearing on the belief system that I have and the reason that I vote the way that I do, that I think the way that I do, that I believe the way that I do. And they should not be influencing anybody. They are in no position to influence anybody, about 99% of the population, on how they should decide who should be running and leading our country, our states, our cities, and our communities. So, people like Oprah Winfrey and Chris Evans and Mark Ruffalo and Joy Behar and Alyssa Milano, Olivia Wilde, Deborah Messing, Anne Hathaway, Jason Bateman, Meghan Markle, LeBron James, Jennifer Lawrence, Barbara Streisand, and every other Hollywood elite who eats off plates of gold and can pretty much use cash as Kindle in their fireplace. I don't give one crap what you guys have to say. I don't. You are in no position to tell me what I should care about. Just what I have to say. What do you guys think? You probably don't even, you know, when I talk about celebrities, just a little side note, I feel like there's a lot of people that have no idea who half these people are. My family are big movie watchers. We love movies. So it, you know, it really is a sacrifice when I do have to say, like, we're not going to watch these certain movies anymore. We're not going to support these certain actors or actresses. So it is actually a sacrifice for some of us who actually really love movies. But again, I love my country more, I love my values and my belief system and my family far more than I need, you know, the next Jason Bateman or Anne Hathaway or Jennifer Lawrence movie. And I certainly don't need Oprah. Anyway, that's my tangent for tonight. Leave a comment below, like, share. We'll talk about more important things next time. I just had to get this off my chest. Have a good night. I'll see you in the next one.